Hi, good people. So, it's a conspiracy theorist again. Today, I want to touch something that not many people will dare touch because it's forbidden and it can have deadly consequences if you do it. But again, as a person who fears nothing, who has zero fear for worldly things, let's have an honest conversation. And as well as say, whatever I say is my opinion based on my level of understanding, and you're entitled to your opinion based on how you understand things. So, now into it. Uh, I have come across people who have been very curious to understand how, after being a devout Christian for so many years, I decided to walk away from Christianity and to start seeking a different path altogether. And one thing I have come to realize and to deeply believe, most of the people who call themselves Christians, and I'm not saying it's bad or I'm not saying Christian is a bad religion, get me right, we're just analyzing things that we need to look into rather than just believing in everything blindly. So, from what I have observed, most people who call themselves Christians or identify with the Christian belief, they are Christians because they read the Bible, and it's cool. It's their religious book that contains the instructions, um, yeah, and maybe everything that they need to live a fulfilling life as a Christian. So I respect the book, I respect their belief, but there's some things we need to start having honest conversations about. So, as I said, most Christians are Christians because they read the Bible and they believe in the Bible based on the perspective they have been or they were introduced to by their spiritual leaders or whoever introduced them to the religion. But I can say this confidently because it happened to me, and I'm one person who believes in my own personal experience. So I can say this with no fear of contradiction. If you truly study the Bible, you'll stop being a Christian. You'll become an atheist or something different because, yeah, you'll start seeing beyond the illusionary lies in the fundamental Christian belief system. And if you study the Bible without being influenced by the perspectives you have been taught by your spiritual leaders or by whoever um, yeah, guides you or leads you in the religion, you'll start seeing things that most people ignore. They don't understand or they understand them differently. So I want to focus more on one thing today. If you read the Old Testament, I know most people have read the Old Testament, but I know for sure, maybe only less than 5% of all Christians globally have read the entire Bible. So most of them just know a few verses that their pastors keep preaching over and over again because it suits the contemporary agenda that they are pushing. So, as a person who likes seeking knowledge and understanding, because I read the same Bible and I was a devout Christian, and one book captivated me, the book of Proverbs. If you read the book of Proverbs, it insists so much on seeking knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And some verses actually insist, regardless of what it costs you. So that opened my thinking and my curiosity to want, yeah, to understand things more. So definitely what I needed to have better understanding on was this holy book, this book that should act as the guide that should lead me to that good afterlife or heaven and, yeah, whatever the fallacy we have been sold. So after making a decision, I need to start now gaining more knowledge, and I believe the knowledge should lead you to understanding. And if you apply the understanding, it will open you up to wisdom. So I started now studying the Bible, not just reading, studying the Bible. And the more I got deep into it, the more I started questioning everything I have been taught, especially about the nature of God. Because if you read the Bible, particularly the Old Testament, you will realize the nature of that God, the Yahweh, that Christian God, is one brutal, inhuman God. I refer to him as a psychopath. Whoever he is, I don't know if he was one guy or there were several dudes, but that's up for debate. But the God or the gods in the Old Testament, they were not benevolent. They were not loving gods. the God of the Old Testament is extremely brutal. And I read some passages, and to give you homework to seek for more, I'll just read one passage in Numbers as a proof of outright God's brutality against humanity. I know Christians justify those people are sinners, they worshipped idols, all sorts of things, but I ask myself, if people could be brutalized in that manner for not acknowledging God or for worshipping idols, but in the current world, in the recent world, we have seen more evil humans causing wars, like those causing wars and raping children in Congo. We don't see them getting punished, but whole countries will be destroyed just because some of them worship idols. So I'm not just talking things from nowhere. Let me read some text. In Numbers, to give context, if you read Numbers 31, it focuses on Israel vengeance on Midianites. I don't know what they have. There's no enough context of what the Midianites have done to deserve the vengeance. So, and this vengeance was commanded by God. If you read Numbers 31, the first verse, and God said to Moses, and it continues. He continues to give the command, and the command was to attack the Malachite cities and destroy them, burn them to the ground. So, and I keep wondering because, in my understanding, how I understand God based on, let me not use the word God because the word God has different connotations for different belief systems. The way I understand the creator of the universe, the source of the source energy, the source of all that is in existence, it's one loving force, which is unconditional love. And I don't believe a God who loves the creation unconditionally would punish, would brutalize a section of humanity for petty things that they did, like not worshiping Him. So let's first look at some of the verses in Numbers 31. As I said earlier, the context is it's God through Moses giving instructions to Israel to gather an army to go attack the Midianites, not the Amalekites. The Midianites. And the exact instruction were each tribe will produce 1,000 soldiers, so they will have a total of 12,000 soldiers, not to go and attack the Midianite cities or countries, whatever. And they did that. They went and attacked them. They killed all those who they battled, and they took women, children, and animals as spoils of war. I don't know the kind of God who would want to have the spoils of war. That's another subject of debate. So, but my attention is in some verses. That was just for context of what was going on. So, if you read, where is it? It's Numbers 31 for someone who will want to reference. I want to start at verse 14 when now the soldiers had come back with the spoils of war. And verse 14 states, Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of the thousands, and the commanders of the hundreds who returned from the battle. And he asks, have you allowed all the women to live? He asked. They were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and enticed Israelites to be unfaithful to the Lord in the Peor incidents, so that the plague struck the Lord's people. Verse 17, what Moses commanded. Now, kill all the boys, kill every woman who has slept with a man, but save yourselves, every girl who has never slept with a man. In other words, save yourselves, the virgins. Let me just laugh because it's ridiculous that most people are still worshipping this God and believing He is their savior and will come to save them, blah, blah, blah. It's good to have a belief, but we need to question what we believe in. Because what kind of a God would want to see that kind of brutality? For once, you have already attacked them, you have killed all their men, you have touched all their houses, you have destroyed their entire cities, and you have taken the women and children as spoils of war. And now the God now wants you to kill all the children, to kill all the men, all the boys, and not any woman who has slept with a man, but save the virgins for yourselves. And I keep wondering, let's say the mistake they have done according to the verse is they misled the Israelites to abandon the true God and worship the false gods. That was their mistake. So why then would God justify the virgins be saved and divided among the soldiers? We'll get to that verse. But innocent young children who are males should be killed. What kind of a reasoning is that? And I know Christians will always justify, they'll have their reasons for it. So why God did that, why God chose to destroy entire cities and cause such kind of intense suffering to humanity. For me, it doesn't. It makes zero logical sense that a loving God who created humanity would again want them to keep fighting against each other, because uh, from what I understand, it's more likely the person referred to as God who was commanding Moses in this particular verse was not really the God, the creator of the universe. It was just a kind of a king exalted as a God, because normally it was kings who waged wars and they took the spoils of war and divided them among the soldiers and the rulers of the day. So I don't think the individuals or the entities referred to as God in the Old Testament are actually God, the creator of the universe. So what baffles me is, why then keep the virgins? If you are revenging on them for misleading your people to worship false gods and idols, then why save the virgins? They were also part of it. Why kill a 2 months old boy but save a 25-year-old virgin? Makes zero logical sense. Absolutely no sense. You can say what you want to say. You can call me a devil's agent, call me or you want to call me, but if we are being honest, your God is more devil than I am. So let's continue. And after they have killed all the boys, all the men, let me skip that and go to verse 25, where now the Lord said to Moses, divide the spoils equally between the soldiers who took part in the battle and the rest of the community. It goes. We go to verse 35, where the total number of virgins who were saved and they were to be divided among the soldiers were 32,000. Oh my. Of course, we know how the virgins are being saved, to be turned into sex slaves. Mm-hmm. And that's the Christian God. That's the God that we are being forced to worship and acknowledge. And for us who choose to question, we are being called all sorts of names. And we are being hated on for trying to tell people the truth. But it's ridiculous. And to a great extent, there's nothing we can do but to let people believe in what they want to believe in. But for sure, and I believe that's why I see Christians suffering and always praying and begging their God, but I don't see their prayers getting answered. Because if this is the God you're praying to, he ain't gonna save you. Just save your energy. Stop praying to a damn psychopathic God and take your power back, and know you hold the power to transform your life and to create the life you want for yourself. But it's your choice. If you want to keep praying, if you have been praying and it has been working for you, well and good. But if I'm being honest, for me, it never worked for me. And for most people, I know it doesn't work for them, only that they lie to themselves that God works in mysterious ways. How can I believe God's working in mysterious ways when I see young children suffering from cancer? I see young children getting raped in Congo. Their parents are praying, but God is just deaf and blind. He can see, he can hear. But we have the liberty to choose what we want to believe in. And my problem is that those who are still in the program will always judge harshly those of us who choose to walk away and seek a different path that is guided by understanding rather than blind faith, blind belief in something you have zero proof of. And if you were to be honest, it makes zero logical sense, because in the same book we can see another man who lived in the stomach of a whale for 3 days. Biologically, I don't know how that is possible. Again, there was a time I claimed that, I know I received so much hatred from this. There was a time I made a post online that anybody who truly believes that the entire humanity came from two people have zero understanding of genetics. Most of the things in this book to me make zero logical sense. And one story that ah makes me just question the insanity of Christians. That there was this dude at this particular point when humans were sinning against God. So he decided to wipe out all life, not just humans who are sinning, all life, including our animals. But he decided to save this dude and his family, and through him, to ensure continuity of the species, to save two of every animal species around the world. Then there are billions. I don't know how they fit in that arc. I still don't understand how Because looking at the context, it's more likely that where Noah was based or was around the Middle East. So I wonder, how did a kangaroo hop from Australia, cross the ocean to Middle East, was saved from the flood, and after the flood hopped back to Australia? Hmm? Don't you see something is off? Another question. And I have never found someone who will answer these questions. If you ask, they get angry with you and they will call you all sorts of names. In this arc, uh, as the story goes, he saved two of each animal species. So in the animal kingdom, we have prey and predators. So we have the predators: lions, hyenas, leopards, tigers, jaguars, etc. And given that two of each kind were saved, so these predators live on meat, solely on meat. So what are they eating? For the 40 days it was raining, and for the years that followed before the predators again repopulated. And at the point they were in the ark, what were the praise the herbivores eating? Because, or maybe he stocked enough grass for them to last them for the 40 days of the flood and the months that followed before, yeah, the vegetation was replenished on earth, because the flood definitely wiped everything, all life, including plant life. So don't you see something with most of these stories is just of if you are honest with yourself and you use your logical thinking to examine these narratives and these stories. But as usual, we have been taught not to question, and if you do, you'll be thrown into eternal condemnation of hellfire. So, and that's the main reason most people will never question. They'll just follow the faith blindly because of the fear of what will happen if they don't do that. But I'm that kind of a person who chose not to buy into the fear systems. I don't have to do whatever I have been told to do. I have my own free will. I have my own free liberty to choose what to believe in and what to do. And you also have yours. And if you want to believe in all that bullshit, who am I to say no?